tremendous work ethic because in here. In other words, and you can relate to this, you gotta have a lot of dog in you. You really do, man, if you want to be successful, because it's gonna be a lot of trying times. So you have to have a tremendous work ethic. But you got to have faith. Faith without works is dead. Albert Einstein said once, he said, imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. I want you to get this now. Imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. Because if you think about it, everything you have, everything we have in this world, somebody imagined it. It's your imagination is tremendous. Somebody was sitting on the phone one day talking with a cord to the wall and said, man, I wish I could just go outside with this phone. Everybody in here got a cell phone. Somebody imagined that. Somebody got tired of riding in a wagon cross country from slavery to freedom. Somebody said, I wish we had something that made these wheels move by themselves. We drive cars. People got tired of driving from New York to LA. Somebody said, I wish we could fly. We got airplanes. Imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. Your real life, the one God really got for you, is in your imagination. It is not in your current situation or your current paycheck. And if you've been living like that, you have then restricted yourself to a commonality that is really not yours. Because what really God got for you is really in your imagination. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So when I told you a minute ago, you got to have a tremendous work ethic, but you got to have a lot of faith. I talk to so many people who get older, like some of us are, and they've lost the faith. Well, faith is really simple. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. All that means is in the beginning, you just hope something pop up. You know, you just kind of hope something happened for you. I was hoping I would get on TV. I wrote it on a piece of paper when I was 10. I want to be on TV. The problem I had when I wrote it at 10 was I suffered from a severe stuttering problem. I could not talk outside of my house. So can you imagine when I wrote on a piece of paper, I want to be on TV and turned that in. But when I wrote it on the paper, it wasn't factual. It was just hope.
Let's go. Good morning, family. Rise and shine. Another blessed and grateful day. TGIF. Thank goodness today is Friday. The growth includes Friday and the weekend as well. So I'm fired up. I'm excited for today's topic on how to go ahead and be greater than your circumstances, right? So today is going to be a phenomenal one. I know you guys are going to love it. But before we do, let's go ahead and drop some gratitude down. How is everybody feeling for this morning? What is everybody grateful for? Grateful to be alive, grateful for God, grateful for all of the abundance, grateful for all of the blessings, grateful to be on the rise, and grateful to be on here with each and every single one of you. Grateful for the dream team, grateful for our mentors, grateful for every bit of joy that is flowing to and through each and every single one of us. So let's go ahead and get into it today. Here we go. All right, so we're getting into the topic of how to go ahead and be, a lot of us, I've been a victim to this too. I felt like I was a victim to my circumstances, right? How many of us have ever felt like that in our lives? But, through the years, I've learned to look at it a little bit differently, right? Instead of always looking at it, saying I'm in this circumstance, why is this circumstance happening to me? Over the years, I've been able to look at it, I'm actually the circumstance. You are actually the circumstance, right? We can go ahead and create whatever it is that we want, whatever storm that we're going through. We have the ability to be able to control what we can control, right? Obviously, there's only so much that we can do, but at the end of the day, that is all we can do, right? Alex Moore talks about it all the time. The best we can do is the best we can do, and the best is usually enough, right? So check this out. Today, I'm going to really get you guys thinking about how do you see yourself, okay? And how do you most often utilize our own thoughts, and are they working against us, and are they actually working for us, okay? So first things first, when we're talking about the circumstance, becoming the circumstance, we are the circumstance. A lot of times when we're going through life, when we all get hit by these different winds, Jim Rohn talks about it. We all have winds, right? If we're all out on the sea, we all face the winds of life. But the difference is, how do you actually direct your sail to be able to use these winds to push us in the direction that we're looking to go? So these are little things that I've been able to learn. So number one is, how many of us are blaming others for the circumstances, for whatever's going on in our life? It could be about our body, it could be about our finances, it could be about our business or organization, it could be about our trading account, right? All of these different things. How many of us have ever blamed other people for most of these different circumstances, right? Been there as well. I've wanted to blame the world about myself. But you know what I realized? Whenever we point, obviously we know when you learn it a couple times, we have one finger pointing out, but we have at least three fingers pointing back at us. So instead of me blaming the world why I was getting up late, why I was looting trades, why my energy was low, I started to stop looking at everybody else, and I had to actually turn around and look at myself in the mirror. I had to really look at my habits, look at my schedule, look at my routine, and sit down and say, if everybody duplicated what I'm doing, would they be growing in their life? Would they be getting 1/10 of 1% better every single day? And for a while, when I was in my slump, the answer would be no, right? We've all been through these different times. But as we heard it again from Nena this morning, it's one thing to be off for a day. That's fine. That happens to everybody, right? We all have off days. But when it starts to happen into back to back, that's when the real trouble happens. Because if we think about it, we go hard for 3 days. We slack off for 1 day. Now we're back to break even. Now we slack off another day. Now it starts to go back downhill. We've all been there multiple times in our life. But now being able to understand that formula, this is huge. Because now we can be the ones taking control. No matter what our circumstance, no matter what's going on in our life, no matter what happens in our external world, we're able to keep the peace internally and hold the focus and hold the discipline. Okay? So here's the deal. You don't know who you are until most of the times when we get in high stress situations. That's why it's so easy to go ahead and get on these calls and write the gratitude and get in our journal and listen to the audios and listen to the books. But the real test is when we actually get put in the life scenario, when we actually have to utilize what it is that we learned. Because you know what's interesting? A lot of times we talk about pay attention. Why do we say pay attention? Because our attention is a resource. We have the power to be able to pay attention. So most of the times we don't pay attention in our lives and assess them until we get into high stress situations. When something goes wrong, when the family gets sick, when we're really low on bills, now we're like, oh, I need to make a change in my life. I need to go ahead and learn something different. I need to change my morning routine. 11:11 paints your vision. Well, as I've come to realize, there's no reason to wait until that point in our lives to make the decision to go ahead and change the routine, to get up earlier, to start staying consistent for at least 5 days, right? That was the goal for this week. If we could go ahead and catch 5, not sunsets, 5 sunrises, 5 days out of the week. Because if we can start small, now it's going to be easier going into the next week. And even if we didn't do 5, even 2 or 3 is a great start. So this is why I started to realize I didn't want to wait until the high stress situations until I wanted to change my life. Because that was me. Living out of my car, broke, busted, disgusted, 30K in debt. I had no job. And then I finally made the decision, you know what? I'm ready to go ahead and make the change in my life. I'm ready to go ahead and be the circumstance and not be a product of my circumstances. Okay, so it's basically taking ownership. So today on the second half, we're really going to be talking about taking ownership of your life, taking ownership of everything that happens, because here's the truth. Okay, and honestly, I had to learn this as well. You see, being a leader, everybody wants to go ahead and take in the success when everybody's winning and all the momentum's there. But being a leader is also on the other side as well. It's about being able to take blame when things aren't going so well, right? When the sun is not always shining. And this is a big part of being able to turn down the ego, because ego is one of the biggest things that overpowers most of us when we start making a little bit of money, when we start getting a little bit of growth, because we stop doing the things that got us there. And this is huge. So taking ownership, okay? When you take ownership instead of blame, here's the difference. You're observing and we're not judging. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say that again. When we take ownership instead of blame, the difference is we're observing and we're not judging. Because when we're taking ownership, here's what's happening. We're observing that our habits, they need a little bit of change, right? We need a little bit of tweaking. Maybe we need to go out and get a planner. Maybe we need to go ahead and buy a journal. Maybe we need to go ahead and get a calendar that we can put right on our wall or a whiteboard, so we can go ahead and plan the day, so the day is not running us. So this is huge, right? Being able to observe that we've been eating pretty bad lately. A lot of junk food. Haven't been eating fruits in the morning. We haven't been drinking our alkaline as soon as we get up, right? We haven't been getting on Go Lives. I wonder why my energy feels drained. Maybe because I haven't been plugged in to the chats, to the calls, to the mentorship. So this is big. This is just observing. And the difference with the other side, blaming ourselves, is we're judging, right? And this is the worst thing that any of us could do, because now we're beating ourselves up, right? Now instead of being able to make a change, we're actually angry at ourselves that we haven't taken the action. That now we start to fall deeper in the hole, right? Because what is essentially blaming? It's self-talk. Oh, I missed it yesterday. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this week. I feel off for a couple of days, so I might as well not just show up anyways. Nobody needs to see my face. I'm just gonna go ahead and hide in a corner and be in my shell. We've all been there. So the biggest difference that I realized is being able to identify the two, so we can go ahead and have the right self-talk to be able to move forward. There's nothing wrong with observing our habits and saying, you know what? I need to make a change. I need to make a shift. But the second that we start to judge and beat ourselves up, this is where the terror happens. This is where we really start to get on the downside. When you start blaming yourself and judging yourself, oh, I'm losing so many trades. I don't know if this is going to be for me. This is where the doubt, the fear, and honestly, where most people end up quitting. So this is big, right? If you guys can learn this ahead of time, it's going to save you a lot. So a couple of things I want to go ahead and end off, right? 3 things. You ready? Number 1, it's not a coincidence when you look at the word frequency and you look at the word frequently, right? As soon as we got this from our training the other night, it literally hit me like a brick, because it made so much sense. We talk about frequency. What is frequency, right? Things that are vibrating at a specific vibration. So however somebody's vibrating, this determines their level of frequency. So if whatever's frequently moving, this creates a frequency. So however frequently something is moving, this determines the level of frequency. So you got to think about it like us. How much is our frequency, and how much are we actually frequently moving? Because here's the difference. We become who we are. We become what we actually do. So what are we frequently doing to create our frequency? Are we frequently scrolling? Are we frequently thinking about distractions? Are we frequently giving negative self-talk? Or is it the other side? Are we feeding the right things? Are we feeding our right actions? Are we feeding into God? Are we feeding into actually getting up in the morning, right? Doing the right frequent things is going to create the right frequency that you're looking to be on. Okay, so most of us, we like to sweep mistakes underneath the rug, and I've been there. So whatever we did last week, the things that we didn't do well, it's so easy to just push them aside and not be able to document those records and now go into the next week blind. But the second I started putting things on paper, I'll give you a perfect example, the T-chart. Okay. And I've seen so much growth in so many people's lives because they understood this one thing, not being able to not sweep mistakes underneath the rug. So a T-chart, what it allows us to do is we have an active side and we have a productive side. So most of us, it's easy to go ahead and be active, but the difference with being productive is a whole different level, right? We can get on the calls, we can get on these sessions, but IPAs is the income producing activities. The IPCs is the income producing communications. So if we're not creating new relationships, if we're not communicating and giving value, if we're not doing things that are gonna produce income, this is where the real struggle starts to happen, because a lot of us we end up moving, being busy, and there's not a whole lot of productivity. And I've been there. So if you can look at your T-chart and you can see where the balance is, right, from the calls that we get on compared to the event, we have all different things, active and productive. Active side could be journaling, meditation, mornings with Neno, this call right here, right? Any calls that end up happening after this one. But the productive side, on the other side, this is where the magic really happens. And it's not to say you can't have one without the other. You need both. But most of us, the IPAs, and I've been there, is the biggest key that a lot of us are missing. It could be documenting the go lives, the 3 ways, the events, going out to get content for yourself, right? All of these different ways that we can go ahead and get on the other side to start shift the balance so that we're not uneven on the active side and we're starting to be productive as well. So this is big. And to go ahead and leave you guys off with this, here's one of the last things that I really took away from the training, and I've thought about it over the past 3-4 days, and it truly makes sense. For the most of the time, we've all been taught, you're the average of the 5 people that you hang out with, right? You hang around broke, you're probably going to be broke. Well, the way that we heard it the other night, it really just put a shift in me. And he talked about we actually create the average of the 5 individuals that are around us. So what does that mean? If our habits are negative, if we have no routine, if we have no goals, if we have no vision, guess what happens to most of the main 5 people around us? They end up being the exact same because we attracted that into our life. But just thinking back on it, since I was literally 21, 22 inside of this industry, really getting into entrepreneurship and starting to put out the right energy, starting to raise my frequency and vibration and developing morning routines and starting to journal and starting to meditate and starting to do things that most weren't doing, I literally started to attract a whole new 5 into my life. I started to attract millionaires. I started to attract people that thought much bigger, much sooner. And this is huge. So if you can put that into perspective, the habits that we do, the person that we are is going to attract the main 5 that are around us. It's going to attract the individuals that are next to come into our business, into our organization. So if we want to attract massive leaders into our business, where do we need to start? It doesn't actually start externally. It starts internally. And this is huge. If you can get this right now, you're going to save yourself so much time and so much energy, because I wish I really knew this right at the beginning of my journey. And last but not least, the number one most effective way to make it out of a recession, because it's pretty evident that we are officially inside of a recession, right? So the most effective way to go ahead and get out of a recession, you know what it is to be able to take care of our own economy. So many of us were listening to we're listening out, to the noisy world. Well, I want you to think about it in such a little switch, but it's going to make a big shift, right? Go ahead and type shift down in the chat. Here's the shift. Instead of listening to the world and the noise around us, what if we can take ownership and be the ones to make the noise? Be the ones to make the noise that we have the value, we have the vehicle, we have the mentorship, we have the education that can go ahead and provide anybody open-minded and willing to learn skill sets that can allow them a recession-proof along the way in the next 1-2 years coming up. So I'm excited. I'm fired up. I'm honestly at a point in my life in 4 or 5 years, I've never been so excited into the opportunity that we have to take right here, right inside of our hands, right? We have crypto, we have NFTs, we have the metaverse, we have being able to trade from anytime, anywhere that has Wi-Fi. How powerful is that? Right from our home, we can literally grab our smartphone device, press a button, let the exchange rates move, and our money can work for us, right? Warren Buffett talks about it all the time. If we don't learn how to make money in our sleep, we're going to work until the day that we die. So this is the power of being able to become the circumstance and not being a product of our circumstances, right? So many people have no idea how to make other streams of income, right? How to take advantage of their life. We have the keys. We have the value. So let's go ahead and take advantage. I love you guys. I'm excited for what is to come. Just know this is only the beginning. If you got any value today, drop some sevens down below. Smash that like button and know we are just getting started. So family, it's your favorite entrepreneur, Define Dreams. Remember, you can be, do, or have anything that you guys take the time to write in your journal, to visualize, to manifest, to sit with. I'm telling you, you can hold it right here in your hand. The only difference is time just has to catch up. I love you, family. Let's go out. Have an abundant day. TGIF. Let's go.